Welcome to 2024, guys, and welcome to my biggest project yet, the Skoda Octavia VRS3. Now, this is my biggest project yet, not because of the damage. This is only a Category N car, so the damage should be fairly simple to fix, but it's what's underneath the bonnet is what makes it my biggest challenge yet. And this is a fairly low mileage car, only done 44,000 miles, and the engine runs fine. So we've got no problems whatsoever with the engine. But I don't want the engine is coming out. And that is because we are going to be fitting this Audi RS3 engine. It's an engine that I took out of a crash damaged Audi RS3 a fair few months ago. And we also have the rear axle to go with it, but we're going to concentrate on the engine side of things first. So I am going to be taking out the perfectly running 2-litre engine and putting the 2.5 out of the pre-facelift Audi RS3. Now, this isn't a facelift Dazzler engine with the alley block. This is the older style iron block engine. However, I have just bought, so this is a complete engine. We do need to strip this down as well and have a look because there is some damage to it from the crash that it was involved in. But this has got the old pre-facelift turbo, which is nowhere near as good as the current facelift engine turbos. So even with like a stage 2 map, this will only see around about 470 horsepower, which is not much less than a hybrid 2-litre engine would see. So I have actually bought the facelift turbo, the DNWA, the Dazzler engine turbo, and they are good for around about 520 horsepower off a stage 2. But I do plan to hybrid that turbo so we can see around 600 horsepower. So that is my aim for this engine, around about 600 horsepower, which is around about safe on stock internals. But then again, if it blows up, we'll just build the engine and that'll be more content. So that is the plan. But as always with me, I never make anything simple, and I've just made this project a little bit more complicated. And that is because I've got another Skoda Octavia VRS. This one though is unrecorded, never been in a crash, one owner from new. It's a really good example, and this all come about because I was browsing eBay looking for parts to repair the white one, and I come across this car. So originally, the intended purpose was to buy it to strip the front end off and repair my one, but it turns out this is too good of a car to just destroy. Unrecorded, one owner from new. The only thing wrong with it is that the engine is damaged. Now, that got me thinking, I'm taking a perfectly good engine out of the white car. So, why can't I just put it in this one and get rid of this one and then use the profit from this one to then start working on the 2.5 conversion? So that is exactly what we're going to do. Now, it would be stupid for me just to take this engine out and just stick the other one in without first trying to work out what was wrong with this engine in the first place. Now, all I know from the previous seller is that it was partially stripped and they found no compression on cylinder 1. So I think we're going to just have a quick look, see if there's anything obvious, and if not, we'll take it into the workshop and start taking it out. Now, the handbrake seized on and I'm on my own, so getting into the workshop now is going to be a bit of an ag. It's a nice kind of sunny-ish day. It's not too cold, so I think we're going to start working on it out here. Now, in the last video, there was a few comments saying, why don't I just put the 2.5 engine in this one, repair, and then sell the white one? Now, there's a few reasons for this. One, because I don't actually like red cars that much. Reason one. Reason two, I would much prefer to do it in an estate version instead of the Sportback, because this could be kind of confused for an RS3 saloon once it's on the road. I know it's not the same, but it's similar. The estate version, there isn't a 2.5 that comes in an estate as standard, so that's why I want to do the estate. And also this is manual, the other one's DSG, so I think it's just easier to convert a DSG to a DSG instead of trying to mess around converting a manual to a DSG. They are the reasons. So by the looks of it, it's got a fairly new battery, so hopefully that won't cause too many issues. Now, looking at the garage that have stripped it, they've taken the inlet manifold off. It looks like the coils are loose. I don't know whether there's any spark plugs in it. Let's have a look. Spark plugs are in it, that's good. Doesn't look like they've messed around with this cover. They've taken the fuel rail off as well. So I think the first thing we'll do is I should be able to do a compression test myself because the injectors are in. So that should be fine. So I think the first thing I'm going to do, just in case they haven't disconnected the fuel pump, I am going to just disconnect it from here, stop any fuel being injected anywhere, and I think we're going to go for a compression test. So I can basically just get a baseline diagnosis procedure myself. So I've gone for a slightly different view. I've got my GoPro on the bonnet, so hopefully you can hear me okay. The first thing I might as well straight try and do is the compression test on cylinder 1, because that was a diagnosed issue. Tight. Reset. Just lay that there so we can see it. And turn her over. And there we go, look, as you can see, no compression whatsoever. So let me now just, I know the battery's a little bit flat, but we should still get some compression. So I'm just gonna check cylinder 2 now. Well, I'll check the rest of them, to be fair. And there we go, look, just to prove the battery's not the issue here, we're at 12.5 bar, which is absolutely fine for this engine. So that just proves, let's just do the others while we're here. Then we just know we've got one cylinder problem instead of more than one. Yeah, that's cylinder 3, 13.5 bar. And there we go, look. Cylinder 4, 13.5 bar. So we are good. That is confirmed. Cylinder 1 is that issue, no compression. All the other 3 cylinders are all good. So now we just need to have a look and see why. And to do that, probably got to take it into the workshop. Now, when I picked up the car, it had seized rear brakes because it sat at the guy's house for about 5 months, so I can't push it on my own. So I need to take the rear wheels off. I'm just going to take the brake pads out for now. It's the easiest way to do it. We can get the car rolling and we can worry about freeing those calipers off at a later date. Yeah, so it got dark real quick. Get out there. Yeah, go on in. Oh, this is very close. This is tailgating to a whole new level. And guys, I was umming and ahhing what to do with the TT, so I've done nothing with it, but I've decided to give it a go on Compete for Cars. You can win this car now for just £1.99. Now, if you remember from the channel, I'll put a link in the top right corner. I did an engine rebuild on this a fair few months ago, because the common problem with these is the engine. So it's got all new uprated pistons in it, which stop the problem from happening again. And as you can hear, it's running nice and fine. This is a Mark II Audi TT Amplified Edition, which is basically a Black Edition Plus. It is the run-out edition of the Mark II TT, and this is the all-important 2-litre petrol with Quattro DSG. This is actually a very, very rare car to have in petrol. There are not many in petrol, there's a lot in diesel, and also been the Amplified Edition. It's got rotor alloys from the TTRS. It's also got a spoiler from the TTRS as well. So this is actually a very rare car, and will no doubt go up in value over time. Now, this is even rarer because it has got an exclusive interior, and as you can see, look, partially red with red stitching, red steering wheel, red accents everywhere, red stitching on the dash as well. It's only done 60,000 miles, 2-litre petrol Quattro. Wheels just been refurbished as well, so they're all new. Engine's just been rebuilt, so that's good as well. Full service history, HPI clear, 2 keys, everything you would want. So go grab your tickets, guys. £1.99, and someone is going to win this very rare Mazzano red Audi TT Amplified Edition. Good luck. Now, the first thing I'm going to do while it's in the workshop is just have a look with the boroscope down into the bores, see if we can see anything obvious. And I can only just see a little bit of damage on the top of the piston where someone's clearly stuck a screwdriver in. So let's just wind the piston down all the way to the bottom dead center, and have a look again. And the cylinder walls look really clean. There's no damage to the piston. I can't see anything wrong at all with this. So let's move on to a leak down test. Right, so now that we've found that we've definitely got no compression on cylinder 1, there's a few places it could be leaking. That is the intake valves, the exhaust valves, there could be a head gasket problem, there could be a crack in the piston, could be leaking through the piston rings, or it could be going through the cylinder walls itself. Now, after looking through the borescope, the top of the piston and the cylinder walls look to be mostly okay. I can't see any scores, scratching, or any debris at all. So that really leaves exhaust valve. I mean, it still could be leaking through the piston rings. There could be an underside piston problem like there was with that Audi TT. Now, I've got this tester kit here, and basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using this adapter, pressurizing the cylinder with about 100 psi of, or is it how much psi? I don't know, around about 100 psi of pressure, and then we may be able to hear if it's where the air is escaping from, but if there's nothing obvious, then I'm not going to start stripping the engine to have a look. I will just take it out and put the other one in. So first of all, we'll get the piston at top dead center, so I just put an extension bar in. I just kept turning the engine over until this got to the highest point. So that means all the valves should be closed, and then we just screw in our adapter here. I think this is the right one. Yep, seems to be grabbing. That's tight. And then we plug in our gauge. And then we... Right, so we've got the gauge here, so I'm just going to turn up the pressure. There we go, you can hear it putting in that. It sounds like it's going straight into the sump. So if we put it up to the... Right, so I've just off camera, I've just been doing a little bit of trial and error, and I have now found the problem. I've never used one of these kits before, so I didn't know exactly how it would work. Obviously, I knew air would be escaping from somewhere, but I didn't know how obvious it would be, etc. Now, it's actually a really good bit of kit. By pressurizing the cylinder, we're able to quickly tell whether it's the intake or inlet valves. I basically just pressurized the cylinder. It was absolutely caning it out, as you'd expect. Couldn't hear anything obvious, so I just turned the engine over, and then I could hear it pissing out the valves, so we knew the valves were seated fine, it wasn't leaking from there. I then kept turning it over. I could then hear it coming out the exhaust valves as well, because it's coming back through the intake and back through the PCV as well. Not the PCV, it's coming back through these little holes as well. So I knew the exhaust valves were okay, because when I turned it over, it sealed off. And then there was nothing obvious, nothing head gasket, there was nothing pressurizing the water system. I couldn't hear anything obvious at all. I couldn't really hear it. I pulled out the dipstick, took out the engine lid. I couldn't hear anything coming out of there really, but I have now since found out if we pressurize it again, look, it is leaking a little bit out the spark plug joint as well, which doesn't help. But if we just pressurize it up to 60 psi, like we can see, like high leakage, it's coming out. And if we now remove this cap, don't know if you can hear it, but can you hear that? Hear that difference? Don't know if you can hear it, but that is the air escaping into the crankcase. So that is our problem. So yeah, air's escaping into the crankcase of the car, which means we have a piston broken or ring failure. So yeah, that means we are not going to be doing anything more on this engine. So it does actually save me a lot of time, because I knew we didn't have any valve seat problems, anything like that. There's nothing wrong with the head. It is either the piston broken up or the rings have failed, broken, whatever. Is a lot of leakage, so there's probably something big gone wrong there. So yeah, we won't be doing any more work on this engine. I'll be taking it out as it is now and getting the other one in. So yeah, worked well. This good little bit of kit. Got it off Amazon, 25 quid. There are loads of other ones you can get. You can get a lot more expensive ones, or you can get cheap ones like this. But to be fair, this did the job. Bit of leakage out of this, but nothing major. I did test it in cylinder 2, by the way, and I'll put a picture up now, and that was showing no leakage right round at the low bit. So happy with that. So yes, worked a treat. So now I'm going to start removing the engine. I'm going to take the wiring loom off from the ECU from here. We will have to swap the wiring loom over though from the 2-litre engine to this engine, annoyingly, because I had this problem before, and manual to DSG, the wiring looms are slightly different I think there's 2 or 3 extra pins, which I found out. So I think it's just going to be easy. Instead of messing around with wiring looms, I'm just going to change them over so we don't have that problem. But as it is, I am going to take the engine out with the looms in one and then swap them over off the car. So let's crack on and get this engine out. And the first thing I did was remove the battery and the battery tray. And then I thought I'd do something a little proactive and drain the coolant before it's too late. And you couldn't make it up. I pulled the engine oil drainer over and the top just comes off. And coolant just goes everywhere anyway. So make of that what you will. I've made just as much mess. But once we've got all that sorted and I've cleaned up the mess, move on to the bottom of the car and start removing the wheels, the wishbones, the drive shafts. I don't think this has been taken apart before because everything was very, very stiff and the drive shafts were quite difficult to get out. But once we got them out, all good, drive shafts out, and then we removed the dog bone mount and removed the intercooler hoses, basically anything from underneath that's connecting the engine to the car. Also, we have a few electrical connections as well, such as the sump sensor. And then to the top of the engine, start removing the starter motor, a few wires to the gearbox. Also, there's an alternator cable that goes into the fuse box, fuel lines, coolant bottle, and just aircon pipes as well. So just a few things. There's nothing major. And also there's 2 coolant pipes to the heater matrix and then our exhaust as well. Once we've got that off, we are pretty much good to go. And last but not least, our clutch line as well. I want brake fluid going on the floor as little as possible. So we leave that till last. Right, so I think I'm just about there now with everything. I've stuck 2 tyres under the engine and gearbox. And I'm now just going to remove the gearbox and engine mounts and watch it collapse and hope that I've undone everything. I'm pretty sure everything's undone. So let's just undo. There we go. Fell a little bit further than I'd have liked, but that's good actually, it's come forward a bit. Right. Right, there we go. Nearly there. It's this tight gap between the gearbox and the subframe. It's the diff on the gearbox that does it. Just gets caught on the subframe. Just got to wedge it out. Nearly there. Just a little bit. So the engine is now out. Sorry you didn't see the last couple of minutes. My stupid camera automatically turns off after 5 minutes and I didn't notice. But the engine is now out, come out nice and easy. So that is all good to go. In hindsight, I should have probably got the white one in, taken the engine out of that one first, and then brought the red one in so we could just do out and in. So now I've got to mess around, taking this off, getting the white one back in, taking the engine out, white one out, this one back in, putting the engine back in. So I probably could have done it a little bit better, but I just got carried away in the end. But moving on to the engine, my Daza turbo has just turned up, and yeah, you can see how it's quite a bit different. Well, it's completely different. The actuator is on the other side for a start, whereas on this one, look, it's at the back. Our coolant and oil lines are in completely different positions as well. And the exhaust housing is different as well. So we need the facelift downpipe too. So yeah, it's a very different turbo. So I think we'll get away with just using a facelift downpipe. I don't think we're going to have to go custom. I don't see why. It'll just have to be a facelift downpipe. And also, I don't know if we need a facelift intake. I mean, we need a new intake anyway because that's damaged. So in the next video, guys, we are going to go over this engine a little bit more as well. We're going to strip down all the damage. I'm going to order the obvious things, rocker cover, intake, boost pipe there as well. It's broken, and there as well, look. Order the obvious things that we can see. And also we need some custom oil and coolant lines there. I don't know if anyone in the comments can help me out with that, or if anyone knows a link to a kit where someone's already designed custom lines for a Daza turbo to fit a pre-facelift block. Do let me know if anyone knows. We'll have to do the drive shafts as well because they're going to have to be sent away to be reconditioned because we're going to use the subframe from this, which means we're going to use the drive shaft, brakes, etc. Maybe the suspension as well. I'm not sure. We obviously need new wishbones, new drive, new. I don't know if we use a steering rack from this or from the Skoda. I imagine they're fairly similar. Probably use the one from this because it's going to bolt to the subframe. So we need new tie rod if it's bent. Yeah, just repair and replace where necessary. So that is going to be it for today's video, guys. I hope you did enjoy the episode. Please do like and subscribe if you haven't already, and also follow me on Instagram at saving_salvage. Don't forget to go grab some tickets on the Audi TT as well, and I'll see you in the next one when we'll get the red one out. That'll be done. I'll speed up the process on that one because I've already dropped the engine once, so I won't do too much of the same thing again, and then we'll concentrate on the RS3 lump. So as always, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. And also, I'm away next week, so there'll be a couple of videos. There'll be another video on the RS3, but there'll be another, maybe 1 or 2 different type of videos that I filmed previously, just to chuck in there in the interim. So as always, guys, see you in the next one. Cheers, guys.